Welcome everybody to this client success video. As you guys know, my name is Jaden Johnson and I'm the CEO and founder of Sales Secrets. And today I have a special video and an interview for you guys. We're going to be speaking with one of my clients and now one of my really good friends, Spencer Wagner, and he's going to be sharing his experience going through sales training and what results he's actually seen from that. And then we'll also discuss some tips and tricks that you can use as a high ticket remote sales individual to close more deals and collect more income. Spencer, how are you doing today, brother?
Doing well, Jaden. I'm excited to be here. Excited to have a chance to talk about my success and my experience.
Good. Awesome, brother. I'm happy to hear that you're doing well. The last time that we chatted, you told me that not only have you transitioned out of door to door and now you're selling solar remotely, but you're also starting to build a sales team as well. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I've got a great opportunity to take the skills that I learned on the doors and apply them into, something that will hopefully pay dividends in the future.
Fantastic, brother. Well, I'm really excited to hear about your development, but just to give everybody an idea of who you are, just introduce yourself. Where are you from and what do you currently sell in terms of like your industry?
Yeah, so like Jaden said, my name is Spencer. I grew up originally in Utah, kind of around the Provo area. I first got my kind of jump into sales back when I was like 12 years old, mowing lawns, going door to door and asking people, can I please mow your lawn for $10?
There you go, young hustler.
That's right. But really, though, I got my start doing pest control door to door. Had a friend who kind of got me out to Connecticut. I got into that game and kind of transitioned over into selling solar. And I started first in California, which was a great experience. The need for solar out there is immense, and people are just jumping at the bit out there. But I kind of moved over to Colorado to where I could be with a more like smaller and more intimate team. And the ambition I had by myself, I just kind of wanted to jump right into just closing, doing it by myself, being the kind of person that I could be, 10 years from now, but I wanted to be today.
Yeah.
And so, I've just been selling solar door to door for the last summer, and I moved into doing it virtually, selling Minnesota, Wisconsin, South Carolina, Texas, California, you name it. I've got the opportunity to sell to people everywhere, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. Well, Spencer, I'm really excited. I think that you have like the grit and the hustle and the grind from the past 2 years of knowing what it's like to go door to door. And kudos to you, man. Like I, served a mission for my church and did that. But outside of that, I wouldn't sign up for door to door. So that's something unique about you that I definitely want to appreciate and highlight. But in addition to that, now you have the ability to work remotely because of the skill set that you've developed and the opportunities that you've really attracted your way as well. So we're all curious, Spencer. Now, obviously, with my clients, something that's important to me is not just like the skill set side, but also like this mental programming and your actual why behind why you sell. Reason being is this just because you've been through the Sales Secrets expert training where you and I have had time to work one-on-one together. But a huge part of your performance is being in alignment with why. Like, why do I actually sell? So for you, Spencer, like, what do you feel is like your big why for why you're in sales and why you are a part of this industry when, 3% of the world actually say that they trust salespeople and 97% say that they wouldn't trust us. So why put yourself in this position and decide to do sales?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anybody that knows sales knows that, it's a high ticket industry and it's for good reason. It's not easy. But there are two parts of this for me. The biggest one is just financial security for me and my wife and my future family, being able to take care of ourselves. But more importantly, this opportunity allows me to take capital and pursue things that I want to do, both like for my hobbies, but also just, as a job. I would love to, own a small hardware shop or get into real estate and have, cash flow that I've earned myself built up from the bottom. And, getting in with sales is one of those things that you can earn enough and build the skill sets enough to actually be able to do that. And so, every day when I'm thinking, man, I don't want to do this, I can remember, well, hey, there are things I want to do both for myself, but also for my family, that if I put in the work, put in the time, I can have that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, brother. And I love to hear that financial freedom is a big focus of yours because that's exactly why I got into sales as well. But the big mistake that I see a lot of individuals making, which you just discussed, is a lot of times we start out with thinking that we should just get right into real estate or starting our own business. But more often than not, that somewhat requires a lot of capital, and we actually need to invest money to do that. So a lot of individuals are wanting to make that jump, and sales to me is that stepping stone that number one, even if you and I decided to stay in sales our whole life and just be an expert at sales, that's going to provide us with the high ticket income that we want. And we can just continually invest into real estate, business opportunities, and other type of funds that will grow our passive income and actually give us financial freedom. So to me, this is kind of a no-brainer way for individuals to build financial freedom without having to own a business, without having to start something, and without having to put a ton of money into actually starting up a startup or a company. You can just kind of skip all that hard work and invest into what's really going to build you that passive income, which is real estate, business partnerships, investing, and other types of passive income as well. So I'm happy to hear that, brother. But I am curious for those individuals that are looking into sales secrets and potentially working with me to develop the skill set, what made you decide that you wanted to get sales training in the first place? Like, why even care about improving your ability to sell and close more deals?
Yeah, so it's actually a really great question because for me, I actually didn't want to be trained. I want the satisfaction of knowing that I've done something completely by myself and achieved the best by my own grit, whatever it is, right? And so it wasn't until I heard multiple people tell that, hey, you need a mentor. You need to level yourself up now because at the end of the day, you're still doing it yourself.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of achievement there that you maybe just don't recognize. And so I kind of had this thing like switch in my brain where I was like, well, yeah, man, if I actually want to achieve these goals and I actually want to do something with my life, I need to start now to level myself up to a point where I can have the income I need to be self-sufficient and the income to start a business. If I want to do that, I need to start now. And so for me, it was, the training that I desired just came kind of from those thoughts. And then, picking Jaden as a trainer myself was kind of a no-brainer. I mean, his experience alone, I mean, speaks for itself, but the values that Jaden holds and the knowledge that he has was far more valuable than even a specialist in solar that I was contemplating, looking at maybe a broader scope of understanding and possibilities was just very valuable.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that compliment, Spencer. And I can just tell you and give you kudos once again, because the biggest problem I find with my own personal progression, as well as other sales professionals or business owners, is sometimes we do have this ego and we want to do it on our own, right? Especially individuals that are making like between $5,000 to $10,000 a month in income. A lot of times we think that we know everything and that it can't get that much better, which is exactly why those individuals typically stay in that range and struggle to break into 15,000, 20,000, or even upwards of $25,000 a month just in sales without owning a business, without having to go through all those hardships, just being a 1099 sales rep or a W-2 sales rep. So kudos to you, man, because you just kind of said, hey, ego out of the way. Like I'm still doing this on my own, but I'm going to cut the learning curve in half or actually down by 75% and say, hey, I want to get results as fast as possible. Now, I am curious though, when you came to making a decision to work with me, because once again, like I haven't sold solar door to door, right? I've trained door to door sales reps in solar and different door to door companies, but I personally have never actually sold solar. So for you, what do you feel was like the determining factor that made you decide, hey, Jaden can actually help me and I should do this?
Yeah, I think, I was just viewing a lot of your information online, on Facebook and your Instagram, things that you're posting, the value that you presented in a larger scope of sales ability and, sales possibilities was far greater of value than, just learning how to sell solar and sell solar really well. Because maybe one day I want to venture out of solar and being able to have that baseline understanding and be able to apply that to any scope of sales that I need to, that's worth it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned that as well, Spencer, because my program, and just so you guys watching know what Sales Secrets is all about, is we're focused on helping you become a master at persuasion, a master at influence, and a master at sales. What this means is, yes, we're going to work on your specific script. And in our expert program, I actually go through and build that with you, like I've done with Spencer and helped him with his scripting process. But more importantly, is I teach you the principles of impact, influence, and sales, so that when you make the decision that, hey, I want to become a business owner, I want to become a real estate investor, or I just want to get even better at what I already sell, or consider selling something else, I can easily make that transition. Now, the difference here, Spencer, and I'm sure that you've seen this, is you are an asset now, meaning you go out into the marketplace and companies want to hire you because you're a specialist at persuasion and influence and actually sales. What that means is you're going to never have to worry about income or how you're going to make money ever again. And that's the biggest thing that I want individuals who work with me to develop, is that confidence and certainty that I can close any product, any offer at any time, at any location. And when you have the ability to do that, that just changes the game. And I know that that changes the game for me personally, because this is the same process that I've personally gone through to start my own business. But it started with starting in sales and being able to master this very important skill set. Now, the question that everybody's wondering about, Spencer, what have your results been? Let's talk about some tangibles. What do you feel have been the actual like most fruitful things that you've accomplished from investing into your own skill set? And once again, you guys, it wasn't me. I provide the map, I provide the training, the different scenarios, the role plays, the scripting, all the different Socratic selling questions that you can ask, and a whole bunch of information and guidance and support. But at the end of the day, Spencer did the work. Spencer, what type of results have you seen from putting in that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing that was noticeable, was my ability to talk to people on the doors. One of the first things that I ever, worked on with Jaden was objection handling. And I actually wrote through my two biggest, objections and was able to overcome them every time. And I was setting appointments faster than anybody in the company, faster than anybody that I actually know personally. It was something that it was impressive. I had a call with some people out in California for a company I used to sell for, and they said, "How do you do it?" It did have something to do with the market, but I was doing 10 times better with Jaden than I was doing without Jaden. And so that was valuable in and of itself. But at the same time, my ability just to talk and convince people, in my daily life, talking to professors, talking to, my parents, my spouse, whatever it is, I can actually understand more of where they're coming from and be able to address that in our conversation instead of just taking my perspective and just hammering it into them and trying to get them to see my point of view. Conversations, sales, whatever it is, they just go so much smoother now because I'm actually able to look deeper into their mindset and kind of understand it. And it's been something that's been more valuable than maybe even the sales that I've made.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm happy to hear that. And Spencer, I just want to point out a really important thing that you mentioned with like what has really changed for you. And what I want you guys to highlight and focus on here is his ability to understand the psychology of persuasion. Because once again, sales is a done with you process. I can't force anyone to buy anything. But what I can do is increase my odds of convincing, persuading, or influencing them to make a decision that will change their lives. How do you do that though? It's by understanding human behavior, human psychology, and learning a sales process that works with those things rather than against them. We want sales to be a collaborative thing. Rather than feeling like you're always fighting your prospects, we want to work together to make the best decision for them that's going to change their life, their business, their expenses. If you're selling solar, potentially helping them save on their bills every single month. These are important things that the marketplace needs. And when you develop the skill set necessary to help them, you're going to see a major difference in your life, but also in your ability to close more deals. Now, the thing I want to also highlight here is this comes upon the premise, right, and the foundational understanding that you can actually improve as a sales professional. A lot of times, Spencer, and I don't know if you've heard this before, have you heard the saying that like sales is just a numbers game?
Yes, sir.
So that's a very common saying. I think that for for some part of it has some truth to it. But the problem with that is when you accept this theory and this line of thinking, which is the framework that sales is just a numbers game, that means that you're just trying to get in as many sloppy reps as possible. But you and I both know, and you watching this video can probably agree and answer the question, have you ever been convinced, influenced, or persuaded to do something that you originally didn't want to do? I can raise my hand and say, yes, I've done that all the time. So that comes upon this premise that you can actually improve your sales ability and your ability to close more deals. Well, if that's possible, then that means that investing into that skill set and being able to predictably close more deals is also a predictable outcome for you. And as you guys can see, that has led to a huge ROI, not just in the amount of deals that Spencer closes on the doors and remotely now, but it also has led to him being more influential and persuasive in everyday life as well. So thank you, Spencer, for sharing that. Now, to wrap up this interview today and this client case study, I want to just give the floor and the mic completely to Spencer and just have him share. Spencer, what do you feel are some of like the most important golden nuggets that you could share of information, tips, or tricks that sales reps like yourselves could use, or even business owners, to close more deals or be more successful in sales? What advice would you give?
Yeah, absolutely. So, whether you decide to work with Jaden or not, whether you are working with Jaden, whether you work with somebody else, no matter what you do in your life, the one thing that I can say for a fact works, and it works every time for anybody anywhere, is to make and stick to a process. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it be your daily process, or whether it be your process for the sale itself, whether it's the process you take when you're in an argument with your spouse. Follow a process and follow it to a T, and as needed, make adjustments to it. But the more committed you are to a process, the more success that you'll see overall. And that's something that I've learned from Jaden. I've always known, have a process, have a product. You hear it all the time. But actually walking through a process and adjusting it with Jaden has opened my eyes to the idea that it actually works. If I would have realized this forever ago, I guarantee I'd be far more successful than I am today. And Jaden could have helped me level up 10 times instead of trying to help me level up just on that front. And so, Jaden, if I had to say one thing, it is have a process and stick to the process no matter what.
I love that advice because, once again, Spencer, and kind of going back to what we already mentioned, in sales, you cannot force anyone to do anything. And if you do, they're most likely going to refund, or they're going to regret that decision and have some, intense feeling towards you as the sales professional. So if you want to avoid that from happening, what that means is you want to sell with people. And what this means is sometimes individuals may say no to you. So how do you measure success as a sales professional if you don't just measure your yeses? Because yeses don't mean that you're successful, because at the end of the day, it's their decision, and you can't just measure your success based off of how many yeses in sales that you get. You need another metric to commit to and improve by. That metric is, do I have a sales process? And does that sales process help them make the best decision possible? And do I fight like hell to help them make that decision? That's what a sales professional does, is we help other people make life-changing decisions and help them move forward powerfully. Without a sales process, you're just kind of guessing and you don't know if you're successful or not. And that's one of the many valuable things that I can help you do. And it's just the very tip of the iceberg. So if you guys are interested in how I, as Sales Secrets, can help you double your income in the next 90 days guaranteed, you can go ahead and click the link below to schedule a call with me personally, where I'll take you through what are you doing right now in your sales process, what do you actually want to achieve from your sales process, and what needs to change. Then if you feel like I can actually help you, we'll discuss the details of what that looks like and how we could work together moving forward. For other people, you might just want more sales training and free sales content. Below that link, which is my calendar, you'll also find the Sales Secrets Advanced Training Community, which you guys can jump into. It's completely for free. And I go live multiple times every single week discussing different objection handling frameworks, the sales process, and even mental programming tricks and tips that you guys can apply to close more deals and have more success in sales. So go ahead, if you guys want to schedule a call, click that link below or join that free community to get more free sales content to help you close more deals. With that being said, Spencer, we want to thank you once again, brother. Thank you for being on the show, and you guys have a fantastic day closing more deals and collecting more income. We'll catch you guys on the next training video. See ya.
Thanks, Jen.